Napoli fans around the world, welcome to a shocking episode of Napoli Talk. Um, a tennis scoreline 6-2. At some point on the sixth goal, I just laughed because honestly, like what else can you do? No, you have two options. You either cry or you laugh, and I'm not gonna cry for this group of players with that kind of performance. So it's better to just laugh. Um, how is I don't even know where to start, guys. Do we start with the fact that we took their best player this summer, Noah Lang, gave them a bag of money for their best player, who got a friggin' standing ovation when he came on? That's how much impact the guy had at PSV. Comes to Napoli, can't do anything, and I'm supposed to believe that their best player last year is not even our top 15 in our squad, and yet we get battered by the 11 that they put out. Interesting, no? How some things how some things work. So we can start we can start there with a bit of context on Noah Lang, even though the poor guy has nothing to do with the scoreline. Um, but it just goes to show that from on paper, guys, on paper, let's be honest. I mean, they have Perisic, who's 36 years old, and a few kids who still have a lot to prove, even though they won the title last year. Um, but they definitely don't have the players, the caliber of De Bruyne, of Mctominay, of Anguissa. So what was missing today was key players in the Napoli team stepping up. I think these guys need to start stepping up. They need to start stepping up when things get tough. McTominay and Spinazzola, they tried stuff, but Anguissa, too weak, too weak. The sixth goal sticks a lazy foot. Gilmore, too distracted. It's now the second game in a row that his mistakes are costing us at the back. Juan Jesus is all over the place, looks like the Juan Jesus of 2 years ago. Buongiorno, I don't know if he's been rushed back, but he's not the Buongiorno of last year, not the Buongiorno of Torino. Belkema, I'm not sure why he came off. I'm not sure why we put Juan Jesus on at right center back. I mean, talk about exposing someone's weakness, right? What I did like about Conte usually is that he puts players in the right conditions to succeed. You will not succeed with Juan Jesus playing right center back. It's a miracle he can play left center back, let alone on the right. And that by itself caused a whole ton of problems. Di Lorenzo out of depth, completely out of depth. And it's now the second game in Europe out of three, because one of them he missed because of a red card. It's now the second game in Europe that people are going consistently behind his back. Consistently, guys. Where do we want to go with this? If there was one thing that Conte's system had, it was that at least if the football wasn't nice, we were solid at the back. Last year we were solid at the back. And we need to go back to basics, especially because if one side of your team is failing, and that is the attack, because Neres isn't scoring, Politano isn't scoring, Noah Lang isn't scoring, Luca, isn't scoring. Obviously Luca isn't scoring. Because I mean he is what he is. I called it out 2 months ago. What did I say 2 months ago? I'm worried about this guy because it seems like there's very little going on in between his ears. Like we say in Naples, he's got a head with the only function to split his ears, but there's nothing, no other usefulness in there. And it's just so ironic that he's then pointing to his head and gets sent off. Because I mean, what's he pointing at, bro? There's nothing in there. What are you pointing at? I mean, how ironic is it to call other people? Because he was trying to say that the referee, needed to, I don't know, be thinking or whatever. And I mean, first of all, man, look in the mirror, okay? Because so far you've not impressed me. I mean, how stupid do you have to be to leave your team in 10 men in the Champions League when you are already behind? This is one of your only chances to prove to Conte that you've got something in you. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. Honestly, honestly, it's just stupid. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't even think the problem is Luke. Like Luke has a problem. Okay, I mean it's just the pass that McTominay gave him in the first half that he couldn't stop. Obviously, he's a problem, but he's not the problem. He's a problem. He's not the problem. Do you guys get what I'm trying to say? The problem is that at 2-1 down, we didn't have a reaction until we got back in the dressing room. Why do these experienced senior players need to wait 10 minutes before showing something? And then because we did in the start of the second half, we came out swinging. We came out strong at the start of the second half. But between their second goal and the end of the first half, there was nothing. Where is Anguissa? Where is De Bruyne? Where is Di Lorenzo? And then as soon as something else happens, we are so fragile that when that third goal came in, we are so fragile that these players are not able to react once again. So that's one problem. Another problem is Conte, because if in the middle of October we are completely out of gas, out of juice, there's only one person to blame. There's only one person to blame because he's got enough players in the squad to have been making the right rotations. He's the one setting the training rhythm. He's the one doing the retreat. We've had players getting injured since the retreat. So it's not even about games. All our players get injured in training anyways. Barely anyone except Lobotka got injured in an actual game. So whatever he's doing, it's not working out. It's not working. And this guy is an absolute machine when it comes to winning the league when you've got one game a week. But my goodness, does he have limitations when it comes to playing European football and managing a group of players um, with a game every 3 days. I mean, even players that in theory should be well oiled parts of the machine, like Neres, he comes on and he's not having the impact that he was having last year. I mean, Neres had a bigger impact last year when he was fresh into this team, straight from Benfica, than now. So, we are seriously at the risk of losing players because of the way that they've been managed. I mean, Neres has not played nearly enough minutes as the guy deserves. So that's a problem. Elmas doesn't need any adaptation period to the Serie A or Napoli, and yet he barely gets minutes. I would have played maybe Elmas today instead of Luca. Either him as a false nine, or put Mctominay as a false nine, or De Bruyne as a false nine. But you cannot play Luca in the Champions League, guys. I mean, fine. You wanted to buy him, you wanted to take a risk, but it's been 3 months. It's been 3 months that Conte sees him every day. I mean, if I if I take a look at if I have a piece of crap in front of me, I mean, I can try to polish it as much as possible, but it remains a piece of crap. You know what I mean? Like, fundamentally, there's nothing underneath. It's not like a diamond in the rough. It's like, you're trying to polish something that's just not there. Okay? So whenever you put Luca in your starting 11, this is clearly not the best starting 11. And Conte has a responsibility towards the fans and towards his own players, that he needs to put the best possible starting 11 to win a football match. And he's not doing that if he's playing Luca. He's simply not doing his job. I don't know if there's a message from above of De Laurentiis that he's worried about the 35 million, and so he doesn't want to see Luca getting benched. But let me tell you, man, that value of Lucas going down by the second. So it's probably better that he stays on the bench because, my goodness, what a Serie B player! What a Serie B player! I can name 20 strikers in the Serie A and probably a few in Serie B that I would rather have instead of Luca. And I'm not even I'm not even saying this for the first time. Like, I said it in August. I like go check the video I made in August. So you can't even say that now I'm talking the big talk because of what I've seen. I mean, I don't know what this guy said to convince Napoli, or what Napoli saw. But yeah, let's go back to the game. Because I'm tired of speaking about him. Let's go back to the game, guys. And moments of the game. We talked about at the 2-1, Napoli not being able to respond until halftime. But there was also a moment when it was 1-1 where it's like, okay, guys, we scored. They came back and scored an own goal. The crowd has been lifted. You're playing away from home against PSV, a team that's followed with passionate fans. It's a tough ground. What you need to do, Napoli players, is you just need to take the rhythm out of the game for 5 minutes. Just survive at 1-1 for 5 minutes, gain control of the ball, and then you start building. But I mean, that's rule number one, I think, of when you concede a goal in the first half. Because you've got the entire game still ahead of you, that there's no rush to speed things up at any point. It's different. If you concede a goal 1-1 in the 70th minute, fine. You don't have the luxury. But it's the 30th minute, you've just conceded a goal. Just relax. Just relax. Take this thing out of the game. Let the crowd calm down. Let them see that this was a fluke one-off goal, and then you build again, right? And that's the approach that Napoli should have had. But I'm surprised at Conte and these experienced players not being able to read these kind of situations. So that's another moment at the 1-1. We spoke about what happened at 2-1. And then, guys, in the second half, when PSV started scoring all those goals, right? I'm sorry, but at some point, you have to make a decision. When you're down 10 men and you clearly see the direction that the game is going, there's no shame in parking the bus. Like, we're not going to score. We're not going to score. Goal difference is important. Just take the L, park the bus, and lose with some kind of dignity 3-1. Just lose 3-1. That's all I'm asking. Just keep it to 3 goals. Is it too much to ask to not want to see a tennis scoreline? Is it too much? And then at 4, you're like, surely, surely at 4, we don't concede anymore, especially because then we do the 4-2. We get lucky with a corner and we get a 4-2. Okay, guys, 4-2. We've saved our reputation. We can say, yeah, we lost 4-2, but there was a red card, so who knows what could have been. It's only 2 goals. Just keep it there. Do you really think with 10 men you're going to score another 2 goals after you've already scored one? Just keep it 4-2. It's fine. Just, you know, know when to walk out of the casino, right? Know when to walk out. No, we're all over the place. Anguissa is in one country, Mctominay in another, Di Lorenzo is in another continent. I mean, no structure into the team, no structure. Literally the opposite of what you need to do, which is to stay compact, keep possession, take this thing out of the game, lose with a bit of dignity. It's not that hard. It's like we're not asking them to score goals at this point. Remember, we're asking them to just keep the ball. I don't know, guys. There's that. There's Yeah. I mean, even like the fifth goal or sixth goal or whatever, like Juan Jesus going, trying to go up all the way to the halfway line to recover the ball. Bro, just sit back. Just sit back, bro. What are you doing leaving space behind you? Don't you know that Di Lorenzo's suffering? Don't you see that this guy can't handle a koala going past him? I mean, Di Lorenzo's asleep. Slow. You, as a center back, need to think about that and support the teammate next to you. You can't go and press to the halfway line and leave a huge gap for Di Lorenzo when you see that it's like he's playing against 20-year-old kids that are twice his speed. Guys, I mean, this is what I really don't understand about Napoli. It's that there were 5, 6, and I can go on, guys. I can go on. I can really go on and just destroy this team. Like I can speak for another 2 hours, where I can go minute by minute, tell you exactly what went wrong. But I'll leave it at that, okay? I'll leave it at these four or five examples. The point is, guys, the point is that we didn't read the game, and we didn't read the battles in the game. We were late to all the second balls. We couldn't respond. And that's worrying because we have a very experienced team, and so um, that's the most worrying part for me, more than the scoreline, more than the fitness, more than Luca, who, I mean, at some point, Conte's just, gonna realize by himself. The point is how did experienced players like Anguissa, McTominay, De Bruyne, Di Lorenzo, how did they not read the game? Um, and this is against a very, very inexperienced PSV team, very inexperienced PSV team. So I think we were lucky today that we had PSV in front of us and not PSG, because that would have been a mistake. Right, guys, that's a little bit my rant. But I see that there's a lot of you in the comments, so I want to get to your comments, okay? So let me start from the ones that super chatted, guys. Thank you a lot. You're very kind to leave donations on on a day like this. You don't need to. Brian Wood says, Dom, since I've been a Napoli fan, I can't remember a time where Napoli played two striker systems since Calayo and Sosa. Why is two strikers so unpopular? Because normally two striker systems are either for when you play a 3-5-2 or a 4-2-2. Sorry, a 4-4-2. And we never tended to play a three at the back since like forever. I mean, a little bit with, well, we did with Mazzarri era number one. Um, but even then, we weren't playing with two strikers because it was a bit of a different system. Um, Last year, at times, we had three at the back. 2 years ago as well, but it was rare. And when we did have three at the back, instead of having a pure out and out striker, we had like a big guy and then a small guy like Raspadori, more in the number 10 position. Um, the reason why coaches don't really play a two striker system in, let's say, top teams like Napoli, today it seems funny to say, is because you lose a potential midfielder or a defender to play out from the back. And in theory, the better the team, the more you can start playing from the back. You can play the ball on the ground to get to the final third instead of saying, you know what, we don't have any quality, we're just going to hoof it up to the two strikers, two tall guys, and they're going to muscle the defenders, put the ball down, and then the team can come up. In theory, when you have quality players, you think that you can get kind of cleaner ways. You think that there's cleaner ways to get to the end. So I think that answers the question. Mike, man, thank you for your donation. Really kind of you. $20 says, I had a lot of concerns coming into the season with concerns to the squad building. KDB is an amazing player, but McTominay is not a left mid. That midfield is very unbalanced. Milinkovic Savic is a great keeper, but we won two Scudettis with Meret. So I I think we were all surprised when we decided to play the 4-1-4-1 and go with that, because I think what we needed to do this year was stick to the 4-3-3 and rotate between the four midfielders. I know that it's tough to leave out one of them every once in a while, but it would have ensured that at any given point in time, all three of them have had enough rest at some point this season, and they're not playing all four games because guess what? Then we get to October and everybody's played every game and we're already without breath. So um, I think in terms of squad building, in terms of numbers, I think we're fine. But in terms of then how Conte decided to use those resources, um, that's the problem. If you want to play guys, if you want to play a 4-1-4-1, which by the way means five midfielders, okay, because you're treating Politano essentially as a midfielder as well. Five midfielders, that means you need five midfielders of similar quality also on your bench. We don't have that. We have Gilmore and Elmas. We have two on the bench. Um, so it's unbalanced. It's unbalanced. Whereas if it was a 4-3-3, all of a sudden we start with three midfielders and we would have three on the bench. But um, yeah, so it's not so much numerically, it's just that now we are in we didn't do the rotations properly and we're in a bit of a mess right now because everybody's tired and yeah. Milinkovic is a great keeper. So today he conceded 6 goals. I think if Meret had ever conceded 6 goals, we would have crucified him. So I'm not gonna say anything positive about Milinkovic Savic today because it would be not the right time. I think no matter what the context, if a goalkeeper concedes 6 goals, there's nothing positive to say. Would Meret have conceded 6 goals as well today? Maybe. Maybe not six, maybe five. I don't know, but maybe seven, right? I mean, PSV had a lot of chances. The point is that that area of the field is the least of our problems, but at the same time, maybe Conte, it's another one of those things that he didn't really think through. That whilst Milinkovic Savic might be the better goalkeeper, there might be a bit more understanding with Meret at the moment with the players that we currently have. Um, and since we're losing a bit of solidity at the back with Rachmani not being around, since this year we've started to play with Spinazzola left back as opposed to Oliveira, the defense is different compared to last year and changing as well the goalkeeper. It's just one more element to consider and to integrate and all that. And whilst he does have his qualities and we saw it against Genoa, maybe considering just how much other changes have happened, maybe we could have just kept it consistent. um Maybe that would have helped the defense because I mean, look, Tony 2-1 2-0-1 is saying the defense is shocking. Um, would that have been different with a different goalkeeper, right? With Meret. Tough to say, but for sure all these changes maybe don't help. Um, so so yeah. So yeah. Let me get to some other comments, guys. Maybe there were some members, especially of the channel, that had some comments earlier on. Vinicius says we've been playing with four midfielders every single game. For me, it feels like we got none, no creativity at all, just crossing all the time. Man, if only we actually had a few crosses. I mean, we don't even have that. We just have lateral passes. Least inspiring performance I've ever seen in my life. I would prefer Gandhi up top instead of that giraffe bomb, says Mullins. Bro, Gandhi, man. Oh God. Um, Helcom says, I think I want to drink straight pure chlorine. Yeah, yeah. Um, Foxdrop says, Conte needs to drop Europe Been saying this since the beginning of the season. He can't do both because it's the Serie A. Yeah, I think he might make a decision like that at some point because maybe we don't have the fitness and the amount of players right now in the squad anymore to do the two competitions. And I don't know, but then you're putting all your eggs in one basket, and then if I don't know. I think a lot will depend on what happens with Inter on Saturday. If we somehow manage to get a result against Inter, then Conte will feel like the Serie A is still on, and he might decide to go all in. But if we lose to Inter on Saturday, we might as well try to recover in the Champions League, you know? So, yeah, let's see if that would have any kind of impact. Um, Manager needs to change formation and put Mctominay central. I think so, even though today he scored 2 goals. So I don't even think, the whole thing with McTominay, it's not about the formation, in my opinion. I think it's more that you have these four midfielders and you're squeezing all of them at the same time. Whereas instead, I think it would be much more efficient to have three, but for them to be all at 90% fitness instead of now where they're all at 40% fitness because you've squeezed all of them and they're not resting at all. Whereas with three, you can rotate. Luka was bad today, but we can't put all the blame on the kid. The team just not work well for midfielders. I think we can put some blame on Luka. I mean, he missed a very easy touch in the first half that he was through on goal. He got a red card. I mean, it's not the midfielder's fault that he got a red card. You could argue that without the red card, the game could have ended 3-1 or whatever the scoreline was, but definitely maybe not 6. Um, yeah. Entire squad except McTominay is equal to a 2. So let's go to my player ratings. Um, this is my player ratings, guys. I gave a 4 to most people. And maybe that's being generous. Um, and the idea is this, that everybody was well below expectations, and a 4 is a pretty diabolical score out of 10. As you know, kind of an average game, you get a 6 out of 10. Luka gets a 0 because it's an accumulation of poor games, the red card, and honestly, I'm just tired of him. Everybody else gets a 4. Why not lower? Because I think that it wasn't, aside from Luka, I don't think it was any one person's mistakes in general that made the scoreline 6-2. Like, yeah, Di Lorenzo got caught with a guy running past him, but he can't help it that he's in his 30s and the other guy's in his 20s, and that's the speed difference. Anguissa was a bit lazy, once or twice, but definitely that doesn't cause 6 goals. De Bruyne could have been more impactful, but definitely that doesn't cause us to concede 6 goals. Gilmore, a few distractions. Definitely that doesn't cause us to concede 6 goals, though. It's not like one player had a disastrous performance. It's that when you start adding each individual person's 4 together, it brings everybody down, and there's no way to escape from that. And that's what causes the 6 goals. It's a sum of parts. It's actually where the ensemble is greater than the sum of parts, but this time greater means worse, greater in amplitude but in the opposite sense. I hope that made sense, guys. If you are not understanding that, that's on me. But yeah, I think it makes sense. And then zero for Luca, he might have just killed a whole family. Um, I mean, yeah, zero is pretty bad. I mean, I've said it many times. To get a zero, you have to really be poor, and to some extent, this is an accumulation of things. So yeah, both center backs were way worse than Luca. Buongiorno scored an own goal, but then at the same time, he blocked like three or four shots that could have been goals. I mean, guys, PSV had 18 shots on target. Somehow, 12 of those shots on target, or had 18 shots or whatever. I can't even read. No, it's too small. Yeah, 18 shots and 8 on target. Some of those shots were blocked by Napoli defenders, and so yeah, could have been even worse. So yeah, guys, that's the now. I think that's probably the worst I've ever done. Maybe in the Garcia days or the Mazzarri or Calzona days, maybe I did something worse, right? Um, but yeah, the subs also get a pretty bad rating because none of them managed to make an impact. Um, Juan Jesus especially, I think, had a negative impact coming off the bench. But for sure, it's not his fault that we lost the game. He came on that the game was already compromised. So, um, Marie saying, I'm too generous with the rankings. I saw you gave 5.5 to Kvara when he missed the penalty against Milan at 1-1. And he had 10 successful dribbles and many big chances created. Um, but there, it's because it was kind of one moment in the game that could have really changed everything. And 5.5 is still significantly better than a 4. Um, Whereas I don't think any of these players made a mistake that significantly changed the game just by that one mistake. I think it was just bad all around. I mean, the second goal that we conceded was, I mean, a counterattack that, I mean, who do you blame for that? I don't know. I mean, it's very difficult for me to say we lost because of this one player, is what I'm trying to say. And even the Buongiorno own goal, I mean, it's such a fluke what happened. Like, it's such a moment of bad luck. Um, Whereas I feel like when you miss a penalty in general, not just Kvara, but in general, when you miss a penalty, whilst it is a bit of bad luck, I do think that you have much more control over it to some extent. The quality of your shot, the speed of your shot, the placement of your shot. In theory, if you do everything well, you have a very high chance to succeed there. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think I think there it was just easier to put a one-to-one correlation. Whereas here, I just find it a bit difficult. I just find that everybody was one or two levels below. They weren't all disastrous. They were just one or two levels below. But if everybody's one or two levels below, the whole team is disastrous. That's, I think, the problem. And that's where I think the person that then gets responsibility for the team being all disastrous is Conte, and that's why he gets a 2. Milinkovic Savic, the poor guy, he gets a 2 because he's a goalkeeper who got 6 goals past him, and I think that actually he could have done more in a few of them. Uh, yeah, maybe I should change. I should change maybe some of them. I should change some of them. Um, At least change Conte's ranking to less than zero. Yeah, maybe. I think Conte should be possibly lower there. Possibly lower. Um, Luca got no service versus Torino. Prime Maradona couldn't have made this team work. That is some crazy thing to say. That is a crazy thing to say because last time I checked, Maradona won a World Cup pretty much by himself against, well, against, but with a team of Argentines who were quite average. Um, so, I mean, the guy can win a World Cup by himself. So I'm pretty sure he'd be able to do a bit of damage against PSV. So that's one. Luca, um, he did get service against Torino, and then whenever you pass the ball to him, the guy decided to morph into a trampoline, and the ball would skid or bounce 50 meters away from him, and you know, then your teammates lose confidence in you. So you don't get service, or it seems like you don't get service, um, but it's because you don't deserve it. Because probably what would happen is that you would lose the ball. So yeah, so he did get service. When he did it, he blew his chances, and there, the result is that you don't get service. I mean, um, players are not stupid, you know. Like they see if you are someone worth passing to, and there's a few players that maybe feel like they'd rather just not pass to Luca. You know, they'd rather play the ball backwards than pass to Luca. Uh, Man, if the ball is bouncing 50 meters away from him, it's because he's not able to control it. I mean, when you feed the ball into Lukaku or even Hoyland recently, when you feed the ball into them, um, they're able to clean it, even if it's not the cleanest of pass, even if it's bouncing, even if it's a bit fast, they're able to, get it under control. This guy, I mean, it's like he's playing pinball or something. The ball just goes anywhere after he touches it. We get it, Dom. You found your new favorite player in Luca. Yeah, guys. I'm definitely gonna get his shirt. No, Luca makes Milik look like Prime Henry. Milik was not even a bad player. I liked Milik. So I thought Milik was very good until his injury. I thought he would have been the real deal, honestly. Then he got injured and things didn't work out. But man, I'm not saying he should stretch his legs 15 meters. I'm saying that the ball is played into him, and the ball, after he touches it, is moving 15 meters away because he's not able to bring it down and control it. I'm not saying he should go grab a ball 15 meters away. And by the way, um, sometimes when the ball is played 15 meters away into the space, you'd expect a Serie A defender to have more speed than a tortoise. But he's not able to beat one defender at speed. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm not gonna sit here and justify why I think Luka's a Serie B player. I think it's quite obvious that he's a Serie B player. So um, yeah, I mean, he doesn't pass the eye test. So yeah, Buongiorno did make mistake in 5 goals, says Blue Line. Um, the own goal, yes. The other ones in all five? I don't know, eh? If all five, maybe in one or two on top of the own goal. but like he could have defended better. But all five? No, surely not. Um. Anyways, guys. Let's see if Conte said anything. That's where I want to end today. I'm sure Conte will have said something. So what I didn't like um, last week with Conte was that he said that he didn't like the result, but that he liked the performance, especially in the second half. And I thought the performance was diabolical last week as well, or last weekend. So I'm wondering what he will say today. And he can't hide behind excuses such as, oh, this year is going to be more difficult because of the two competitions. It's like it's it's something that um Kivu, for example, is doing for the first time, and he's not losing 6-2 in the Champions League, right? So a coach with his experience should be able to deal much better with that, especially since we're at the start of October. We're not at the end of the season. So let's see what Conte says. Okay. So he spoke to Sky, and he says there's a lot of delusione, not delusion. There's a lot of how do I translate delusione? Sadness. There's a lot of sadness or disappointment. There's a lot of disappointment. But these situations never happen for by accident. We need to be better. Last year we won the championship, and everybody went above and beyond with a lot of compactness between each other. This year, with European competition, we inserted a lot of new players. For me, nine were too many. Nine new heads inside the dressing room is not simple, but we were obliged to do so. I always said that this year would have been complicated to absorb. New things is never easy. The level of the Champions League is this. We have a lot of work to do, and we will need to put in a lot of effort. When I hit the brakes, it's not to find some excuses, but because I think that this year will be complex. We will try to recreate the alchemy of last year, knowing that there are nine new players this year that need time to find their feet and the right connection. Um, we did a mercato like this because we were obliged, since last year we had a very small number of players, and we did well to win with those players. We need time and patience. We need to um, start playing everyone. The players are the last ones that need to take responsibility. I need to take mine. And it's since the start of the retreat that I say this year will be complex, but it's not to find excuses. But yeah, we need to find the alchemy. So, okay, he says more things. Let me stop there and comment on what he just said. That they had to find a lot of put in a lot of new players and all that, but I mean, when you look at the starting 11 that he's fielded most times this year. Um, Most of the players in the starting 11 are from last year. And when he does bring people off the bench, it's Gilmore, it's David Neres. So it's not like we've dismantled a core part of the team. And I don't buy this excuse because when we won the first Scudetto, with Spalletti, we sold Fabian, we sold Mertens, we sold Insigne, we sold Koulibaly. We completely dismantled the team. We brought in Kim, we brought in Simeone, we brought in Raspadori, we brought in Kvara. guys, that was a lot of new faces, and the team hit the ground running. So I don't buy this excuse that there's too many new faces, blah, blah, blah. No, no. You need to do a better job at integrating them. How about you start giving them a few more minutes, like against teams like Pisa? Why couldn't Noah Lang start against Pisa so that by the time we get to PSV, he's a bit more ready? So I don't buy it, man. I don't buy this excuse. Um, yeah. Um, let's see. Yeah. So, anyways, he says it's his fault that they lost 6-2. Then he does a press, so that's still with Sky. Then he does a press conference, and he says that they ask him why so many goals conceded this year, and he says the second goal we lost the ball, and then after that we made two big mistakes, um, and it's hard to find the explanations, but it's a mix of mistakes between individual players and the team. Last year, we always had our starters, and the mechanisms were consolidated. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Like now he's putting some of the new players under the bus. Um, again, I don't buy this because last year we were solid from day one, and Buongiorno was new. Conte himself and his mechanisms were new to all the players, and yet we were able to be a bit more solid. So how is it now that with Buongiorno, Di Lorenzo, Spinazzola, all players that were there last year, were not able to be as solid 3 months in? So something is not adding up. Something is not adding up, guys. Yeah, let me see if he says anything else interesting. No, more or less that's the same. And Di Lorenzo also had something to say. He said, definitely this wasn't a nice game. We need to analyze and understand. We spoke a lot in the dressing room, and we'll speak about it in the next days. Everything went bad. We're very fragile at the moment. And um, we need to reflect very well on this. Um, yeah, so that's Di Lorenzo. Guys, that's what the protagonist of tonight had to say. As you can see, the lights behind me are red. It's dark times for Napoli. But we've got Inter coming up next. Get your predictions inside the Napoli Talk Predictor game for those of you that play. Um, I think if we manage to somehow somehow not lose against Inter, that would be a good result. But um, at the moment, it seems like Inter are favorites. So yeah, um, let's see what happens. I mean, I don't want to say too much right now on that Inter game. It's hard to concentrate on that after tonight. But yeah. Anthony says, I'm from the future. Inter will win 3-0, 4-0. Yeah, maybe Anthony was stuck at halftime or something. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope that helped a little bit, bit of therapy after this game. Um, but yeah, look, disappointing. Not much to say. Not much to say. Well, a lot to say because we spoke for an hour, but not much to say, you know. It's just one of those periods, and Conte now has to find the right answer. He's got to pull the right strings motivationally. He's got to find the right people to do the job, really assess who can do the job for him, and he's got to make sure that the dressing room sticks with him. So yeah. Anyways, guys, with that, I'm gonna end it here. It's late. Tomorrow is a work day, so we gotta we gotta be fresh for that. Even though the week is ruined. Anyways, guys, hope you had a good one. And even when we lose 6-2, Forza Napoli sempre. Ciao.